Welcome to Formosa Dream Chasers.
We're your hosts, Mary Ann
and Ching-en.
Please join us as we explore the journeys amazing people take in pursuit of their dreams.
And get insights from their experiences.
Let's hit the road.
And get started. Welcome back to the show. Today we continue our chat with Mr. Pavlo Tanasyuk, founder and CEO of Spacebit. In this episode, he not only gives some advice on how he overcomes the many challenges of running a space company, but also shares his upcoming charity bike ride in Taiwan to support Ukrainian children who are victims of the war.
Could you tell us more about Asagumo?
This robot was designed to go there and explore lava tubes if we are successful to get into one, or the lunar surface where we will get the measurements and we basically walk on the moon taking different pictures, and we have a radiation sensor and we also have some hyperspectral imaging. So it will be interesting to see what we learn, and also in terms of new technology as well.
You mentioned that it's like a spider.
Yes.
This is the first machine, like a rover with legs.
Yeah. With wheels you can drive in some interesting locations, but if you want really go some places that there is rugged terrain and there are stones and rocks, or it's a big incline, you can't really drive. So that's why we have legs, and it's designed to overcome those obstacles and be able to climb, even jump maybe, and it will get us where the wheels can't get us. It's not as fast, but it's definitely more resilient, and it can stand up. If it falls, it can use its legs to basically move around. And this is very important for us, and it's important for science as a new technology. Obviously, it's a challenge to test it on Earth because we have to basically demonstrate that it will work in a different gravity. So we use special suspensions, but it's interesting and it's challenging and we like it.
You mentioned one of the things that Asagumo is going to explore is the lava tubes. For everyone's reference, lava tubes are like cave structures in the moon, and that's where potentially those places could become habitable. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. You're right. So there are a few ways you can live on the moon. First of all, you can build structures on the surface of the moon, which is expensive, takes a lot of time and effort. Or you can find a lava tube and you can seal it. You can seal the entrance and you can use that sealed spot to live and to store things. And we know that there are quite a few lava tubes on the moon, those, let's call them caves. So the temperature inside is more stable than on the surface. And this is very important because we know that during the day, equatorial moon is around plus 170 degrees Celsius. And during the night, it can drop to as low as maybe 180, 190, which is really, really cold. And this is a big difference between day and night. For the machines and, of course, for humans, this is unsustainable temperature range. And that's why having a safe harbor, having a cave which is sealed, presents some advantages during the first stage of the lunar development. So calculations show that there is more or less stable temperature in the lava tubes, which is minus 20. Well, you can live in minus 20.
So do we know the depth and width of the lava tube?
Well, we've never been inside of one on the moon. That's why we built this robot, so there is a chance to go and actually see for ourselves. But there are calculations, and we believe that the lava tube structures on the lunar surface are even larger than what we have here on Earth.
Wow.
Going back to the milestones that your company has achieved, we read that after the successful launch of the United Launch Alliance Vulcan rocket, which happened this year in January, the Peregrine Moonlander, where Asagumo was actually part of the...
Yes, Asagumo was initially planned on the Peregrine lander. We launched on the 8th of January.
Yes.
It was very long expected launch. The launch went well.
Yes.
And actually that was very positive because it was a new rocket. It was a Vulcan Centaur rocket, which is very new. It has BE-4 engines from Blue Origin, Bezos company, and no one have ever flown using that engine. So it was a relief when we reached the lunar orbit. Unfortunately, on our way to the moon, the leak was found. It was a leak in the valve. Actual reasons for this leak is still been established, so we don't really know what happened. So the spacecraft was stabilized and rotation was stopped. We reached the lunar orbit, but unfortunately we were not able to land. We still call it a success because a lot of data was collected by our partners, and this data is very useful for the future missions. Hopefully it will be 2024, or it may slip into 2025. We have plans to have a new mission. In our case, we have two problems. First of all, we have to land on the moon, and then our payload, Asugumo, has to work as well. That's very challenging. It's very cold in flight. So when you fly from Earth to the moon, you have to constantly heat the robot to maintain the temperature. So the batteries have to be heated as well. In flight, it can reach very low temperature, and it's very important that our battery's temperature doesn't drop below -20. So that's why thermal regulation and insulation is very important. Thermal management, as we call it. Next time, we will be flying with a SpaceX rocket. So it's Elon Musk rocket, Falcon. As we know, Falcon 9 is a very reliable rocket, and it's also known for the soft ride, which we hope will help us during the next ride. It was designed not only for payloads, but also for humans. So vibration profile is quite different from what we had on Vulcan launch, and I believe that will help to preserve our payloads even better.
As you mentioned, from 2014, there were a number of challenges that you had, and I would like to ask, what is your secret to holding on to your dream?
So I believe that life is formed not only of big victories or big losses, but also of small victories that we have every day. And if you think differently, life becomes difficult because ups and downs are more pronounced. So I'm always trying to concentrate on small wins, and if there are small losses, okay, that's fine. So in my case, like having our robot walk for the first time, you can imagine it's like having a baby walking, because it was the first time when we put it on a table and it started walking, like in our room. It was wow, so it's possible. So we're not crazy. We can send something to the moon. And then obviously doing the test, I mean, whatever you send to the moon, you still have to take through the test. It's a vibration test. It's test in the vacuum chamber where you would hit certain objects and see if there is any gases which are extracted. And also there is a test to see kind of sound profile and if there is any interference of this object. And it's interesting that we passed every single step for our robot. I mean, this is a journey, and it's very important to kind of see it as a part of your life. Otherwise, you can't really do it as a business.
It's like there's no definite success or failure in this kind of industry. Like you can only like keep on trying.
As for the company, this is the learning curve, and this is something that we can learn from, and we can always improve. And I believe as soon as we keep going, we can improve things, and we can look at what Elon Musk is doing. He is constantly sending starships, and they do explode. And is it like a failure? Like from the news perspective, okay, it failed. But from the perspective of the company, you learn a lot. And it just like, it depends how much money you have to burn to try it. So if you have enough cash to try, I would rather try it than like experiment in our lab. Because experiment is not perfect, it's limited conditions. But if you have a real test, you really know how it's going to work. And if something doesn't work, you know it for sure.
Yeah.
I really love that spirit of resilience. Somebody once said, it is a failure when you stop. Because that's it. That's the end. But if you continue, they all become lessons.
Yeah, that's important, not only in space, but I believe in our everyday life, in other industries. And obviously it's easier said than done, but even it's hard. But yeah, that's the way we do it. It's about sustaining the company and sustaining the lifestyle of your own, and obviously being able to employ the employees over a certain period of time. And we had our own ups and downs, and the number of employees shifted quite a lot as well. And what is really important is to continue believing and continue working on it, even if the time is kind of wrong. Obviously, main obstacles in space exploration is the funding, and obviously I was lucky to have money after selling my fintech startup, but then we also had a few investors, which was institutional and private, and that helped a lot. Also, you can apply for grants if you're a space company, but what is really important is to be not afraid to pivot, to do something else or different, and you can always return to your dream, but keep doing and keep going in the same direction, which is very important. And we did pivot quite a few times. We did different things, but that's a challenge for space companies in general, because the life cycle of development of spacecraft, kind of profit expectations, is much longer than any conventional venture enterprise. In venture enterprise, you would expect exit after 3, 4, 5, 7 years max. In space, it can take longer, and not every investor is willing to commit, and only people with vision, people with kind of similar values can do that. Even 5 years ago, it was very difficult to say, hey, okay, we're doing a moon mission. Now it becomes easier. Well, we already have successful experience with going to the moon, and I believe the industry is going to accelerate its development, not only for our company Spacebit, but for other players as well. And I personally believe that it's time to enter the race. The companies who want to do something in space, they have to start it right now, or they will be late.
We can continue with this topic of resilience to the charity ride.
Yeah, the Ready for Liftoff challenge.
Yeah.
Could you tell us more about it?
Yes, so even as a CEO, I try to find time to support a good cause. And because I was born in Ukraine, I still have some emotions towards Ukrainian situation, war. I want to help children of Ukraine who suffered from the war. So I'm planning to cycle in Taiwan in June. And I'm looking for people to support my ride, and would be grateful to meet people along my route, to talk to people and kind of talk about my experience as a space entrepreneur and just a human being. And I will be riding almost 7,000 kilometers. And I will ride it in 3 different continents. I will ride it in Asia, I will ride it in Taiwan, I'll ride it in Japan, and I will ride it in United States. So I will be riding in Taiwan for 1,000 kilometers. I will take a route number 1, and it's a challenge because I'm not a professional cyclist. It will be 2 challenges. First of all, it's raising funds to children who lost their limbs or for children who lost their parents, but also a personal challenge where I would be able to prove to myself that I can ride in difficult conditions and I can make it happen. And also, interestingly, I will have to work as I ride because I don't think that I can stop working. I will have a computer with me, and in the evenings when I have time, I'll still have to sit in front of my computer and do some work. Actually, I'm very much looking forward to my cycling trip to Taiwan. I have a special bike. I basically recycled a vintage frame, but then all the parts on the bike are donated by various companies, such as Garmin, Onyx, and Ortlieb, and many, many other companies, big companies, decided to do donations towards my bike. And they told me that they will be following and they'll be tweeting about me and liking me, which is very important for the ride, to kind of spread the news and to show the importance of what I'm doing.
And what can we do to support your project?
Well, first of all, even like sympathy and even like on Instagram would be very good. But if you can support and if you can make a small donation, whatever you can towards it ride, that would be very good. And I believe the children in Ukraine would really appreciate that. And if you want to cycle along myself, and if you want to join me for a small part of my ride in Taiwan, maybe day 1 or day 2 or day 10, I will cycle for 10 days, East Coast or West Coast. You're more than welcome. And I invite people to join me on my ride and to share this story, and let's make this impactful. Sometimes we have to step aside from our profession and we have to do small things, and obviously I see it as a small step that I do, and this is my input into the democracy and into the survival of people and children in Ukraine.
Before we wrap up, do you have any last thoughts you wish to share with our audience or things you would like to add?
Sure. On the space side of things, I would like to invite universities and commercial companies in Taiwan to collaborate with us on a lunar mission, and we are always open for collaboration. And we invite universities to kind of work or collaborate on our payload. And on the personal note, I would like to thank people of Taiwan for being friendly, and it was amazing experience, and I'm sure that I will have very positive experience during my ride, and very looking forward to that next month. Thank you very much for having me here.
Again, this is Ching-en.
And Mary Ann. See you guys next Sunday. Bye.